Greetings, everyone. Welcome to our Twitter space for tonight. My name is Charles Masereka. I'll be the co-host of tonight's Twitter space. Welcome from wherever you are. Good evening, good afternoon. This Twitter space is aimed at launching a number of spaces that will be happening over and over. So I so much welcome you. And would like you to feel at home. We're starting in 2 minutes time. Greetings yet again. I welcome you once again to this space. The space which is the launch of Agri Talks Africa, aimed at transforming the knowledge ecosystem in the agriculture sector in Africa. But let's start off. As earlier introduced, my name is Charles Masereka. All about me, I'm a banker, and yes, I am a farmer. So much passionate about farming. I studied accountancy, but because of the love for agriculture, I decided I should still practice it and be one of those farmers. We all realize the fact that agriculture is Africa's biggest employing sector, with more than 65% of the population engaged in the sector. It also employs mainly women, though with some limited support from men and the youth. However, the sector is not up to the target of generating adequate food to feed all Africans. We will all realize and agree that we still experience challenges of hunger, starvation, malnutrition, and poor quality produce. This mainly is this has mainly caused the agriculture sector to remain largely underdeveloped, with few young people willing to take on jobs in agriculture. We have a challenge of young people seeing agriculture as a sector of the illiterate or the less educated or the unemployed people. And this is leaving us behind in achieving our targets on food systems and food security. With an increasing decline in the reading culture, especially among the young people, we notice that there is need to innovate new ways to help people continue learning best practices in the agriculture sector. We all agree and we notice that video communication, especially with the latest technology and innovations, is increasingly becoming the new trend, with several video sharing platforms like Likey, TikTok, etc., taking much of the reading time of many young people. With recent food shortages in Africa, so many shocks have hit Africa, more effort is therefore needed to be put in building sustainable food systems on the continent. We all saw the COVID-19 pandemic disrupting our food systems and the value chains. And of recent, the Russian-Ukraine war is another shock that found Africa so unprepared. Food shortages became the order of the day. Malnutrition almost doubled, and poverty hit millions of people. Prices for farm inputs tripled, and the farmer was left with no option but to count losses. So these are some of the things, the challenges that we are facing as a continent, and our farmers are having challenges in overcoming all these troubles. So until we develop our own systems of managing food supply chains and streams, Africa will still be hit with these shocks. Just a few days ago, the world population hit 8 billion human beings, and all these need to be fed. One key question is, who will feed these people when the young people are running away from agriculture? You all have noted that Africa's agriculture sector is mainly impressed by the old people, and the young people are running out of it because they feel that is not something they need to take on. So the purpose of this Twitter space that we've called the Agri Talks Africa is to have those who are involved in agriculture to share their stories, stories which we believe will inspire other people to join the food value chain to foster food security in Africa. It will be a weekly show where we host an individual who could be a farmer, who could be a researcher, or they could be an expert. They could be an activist, especially on in the environment and climate action space. They could also be an innovator who have invented an innovation or a technology that is transforming the agricultural sector. They could also be a head of a farmer organization whose work is geared towards transforming the world's food systems. We believe that one person's story could be that one thing that someone was waiting for to get into agriculture. With the negativity that has been created around agriculture, it is important that people get to hear success stories of all those involved in the food value chain in order to change their mindset towards the sector. We need to create an environment where young people after school will learn to engage in agriculture other than taking much of their time looking for white-collar jobs, which are limited in most African countries. It's therefore on this ground that we request that if you believe that you have a story which can inspire a generation, you send us an email at info@farmdigitaltv.com, and then we will have you hosted on this space, which I remind those who just joined us that it's a weekly one and will be starting in the month of December. Today is the launch of the same, and so we're introducing it and letting people know about it. So we request that you send us an email if you are an expert in agriculture, if you're an innovator, if you're a farmer, if you are if you are a leader of an organization and you believe your story can inspire and motivate other people to join the agriculture sector, we will invite you, and we say send that email to info@farmdigitaltv.com, or you can even send us a DM or direct message, and we will contact you and have you hosted. On most occasions, I've been asked a question that I'm a banker. That's true. And then there's people ask me, what is the passion behind you engaging in agriculture? I've not answered this question for so long, but I think tonight is an opportunity for me to answer that question. Being a banker is a good thing, and everyone would treasure to be a banker. But whether you're a banker or you're not a banker, you have to eat. And you can only eat food. You cannot eat money. So I started agriculture in 2007. I was still a young man, but I've learned to believe that it's actually one of the sectors that can easily transform the economy and that can easily transform the lives of so many people. So when I joined banking, and people believe now you're a corporate and you now need to live the other life which you've been living, I decided I will take on both of them, because one, whether I make the money or I don't make the money, I'll have to eat. So the food I eat comes from the garden. So if I don't support those who are in the garden, then I'm likely not to eat. So my money will end up being so useless. That's the motivation that kept me pushing and accepting to remain a farmer. I am so passionate about farming that I love whatever I do, and I do it with passion. The other question I've always been asked is, how do you balance your time? I have a job that keeps me at work from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and that is Monday to Friday. So my time is balanced in this way. 8 to 6 p.m. is bank time. After 6, that is my time to do my farming and then to do the leadership that I do in other things. Then I have weekends, which are there for me still. Saturday, I work from around 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So beyond 3, I'm in the farm. I have public holidays. All these are days that help me push myself into farming. So I'm able to fulfill my obligations at my employer's station, and then I'm also able to fulfill my other obligations in my passion, which is agriculture. So I cheat no one's time, but still I get to have everything done in the right way. My main motivation is the fact that I need to the main motivation is the fact that I need to have an impact on the food systems that we have. So this is to build something that is sustainable and something that will push us to another level in our food systems globally. Well, everything normally, if I'm to talk about the achievements that I've gotten from being a farmer, they are enormous. One thing I would love to let you know is I've been able to feed quite a number of people. I have a family which much of the time relies on food from the garden. So I do not do a lot of purchases from the market. The little purchases I do is just soap, the household items, then maybe sauce to accompany the food that is coming from the garden. I've also been able to make friends through all these agricultural engagements. I have a home of my own, I have land and everything. I'm able to fulfill my main obligations as a man. So farming is a lucrative business that anyone can take on. Do not complain of the issue of time. Time is something that you can easily manage. If you think you don't have all the time to actively be in the garden, then find farm workers, but who you will be easy, who you will easily be able to manage. Do not leave everything to the farm workers, because you will not have the best result that you may need to have. Then the other challenge that maybe people complain of is land. Land, yes, that is true, but one way I've handled the challenge of land is I hire land. In my neighborhood, I have quite a number of people who have land, so what I do, I hire the land from them, and then I do the farming. And it's all well, it's all good. So, colleagues, agriculture is something that you can easily do from anywhere and at any time. Let's all join the sector. Let's all be part of the chain to transform our global food systems. Henrich, you need to speak. Please proceed. Henrich, you can come on. I think.
Okay. Thank you very much for hosting this space and the launch of agriculture transformation in Africa. The Afri Talks Africa Launch, Agri, is a rich and I trust will sustain it, because we can't talk when we have not eaten. And some of the slogans I would like us to conceive and adapt: if it is not safe, it is not food. And if it is not sustainable, it is not food. And if it endangers the environment, it is not food and agriculture. Having said that, and with your curtain riser, which has been rich, I would like to nibble on several issues that I'm going to speak rapidly to enable other colleagues on the space to also chip in. I would like to say one thing, that with the challenges of agriculture as a continent, we need to say enough is enough on lamentations. And we get talking into sustainable actions, and in particular, sustainable consumption and production. Many people will ask, it is a kind of a rhetoric, but it is supported with a question: as a consumer, what will I eat tomorrow? When you are laying out the stakeholders, you forgot who consumes what you produce. You mentioned every sector, but you forgot, when you produce, who consumes what I eat? So the consumer is a very key person in this discussion and this dispensation. My story, I'm a consumer activist. I'm a farmer. So as I'm sharing, I would like to say that to transform agriculture in Africa, our grandparents did do that, and they had not studied agriculture the way we are on this fora, but they sustained and they were responding to the market because there was consumer or there was farmer-consumer dialogue through cooperatives and through markets that were community-oriented. That would be one of the most effective and reducing the carbon footprint where consumers talk to farmers. Having said that, and insisting on the first aspects I raised on what will we eat tomorrow, and enough is enough with the lamentation, we need to look at sustainable consumption and production. Picking up on the element of COVID, I always tell meetings and political heads that COVID did us the best forensic comprehensive audit. We kept on demonizing agriculture, demonizing the practitioners in agriculture to be peasantry, to be subsistence, to be backward, and they're not modern. But I would like to put it to all the colleagues on the call today. 99% or even 95% of the exports are coming from smallholder farmers whose produce is aggregated in Africa and is exported. So as we call for smart, modern agriculture, we need to think about those who sustain us and those who are sustaining our agricultural export-oriented economies. They are smallholder farmers. The energy we wish to put to large-scale farmers, it's the same energy we need to put to those that have sustained us today to start speaking about of transforming agriculture. Now, this leads me to another point, and this is about sovereignty and sustainable agricultural systems like agroecology. Before uptaking on monoculture as a continent, we had and we still have indigenous multi-breeded species, some of which we export and they are enjoyed globally. Before we undermine them and we ridicule them, we need to take them up and also apply the systems that sustain them. And as you are doing the curtain riser, I appreciated a number of things. And one of the things, like I alluded to earlier, the consumers are the blood and stream and the heart of the agricultural system and transformations. If consumers do not consume, then agriculture is dead. And it leads me back to the first issue I said, farmer-consumer dialogue is very key to transform the agriculture transformation in Africa. because traditionally consumers speak to the farmers and the farmers produce what the consumers need. Now, I would like to speak to you, who is the host and being a financial and having a financial and a financial practitioner. Agriculture transformation in Africa is not going to go on until we appreciate that farmers are our donors. With taking on nakedly privatization and liberalization, farmers were left at the vagaries of different players who give them prices of their price commodities below even cost production. As you, the host, I would ask you a humble question. A farmer, like you have said, you're also a farmer, coming to your banking institution, asking for a facility, I know one of the questions would be, what are the projections and what is your business plan? How much do you anticipate to earn? So that you grade that farmer to give the financial facility. Unfortunately, the farmer will not be in position because of unstable commodity prices that are supported by policies, legal and regulatory frameworks that do not promote agriculture across the African continent. And if I'm to take the Ugandan position, and as a case, myself, my parents, my grandparents coming to your financial institution to ask for a facility, and a boda, a motorbike rider, who knows that I earn a minimum of 50,000 shillings, vis-a-vis a farmer who has got unpredictable climate, price, and poor quality of input to predict the price of the produce after 3 months. I trust you, our host tonight, being in the financial institution, you will finance the motorbike rider who knows how much they are going to earn every day, rather than financing your grandparents whose financial status, given the template of the financial institution you're in, where you're doing projections, doesn't favor them. Having said that, when we want to transform agriculture in Africa, we need to think of the minimum prices farmers will get. That is when we will attract the youth who have gone to other sectors because they are assured of an income. Then the other aspect to transform, I'm sorry I'm speaking a little bit longer, but I'm bringing in the other aspect. Right from governance to production, trade, and consumption, we need to take on quality culture. Agriculture being the mainstay of a number of countries, it is bringing in income. But if the practitioners in the agriculture sector are falling sick of unsafe food, they are not going to be productive the next day. We all appreciate aflatoxin in cereals. We all appreciate arsen in water, because we will talk of irrigation. We all will appreciate the quality of soil that is contaminated with heavy metals. So all these will affect the transformation of agriculture when we do not have the quality mindset in our policies, the quality mindset in the infrastructure. If we are doing agro-industrial procession or value addition, when we think of bringing in the youth, the women, to make agriculture inclusive, when there are more deterrents, then we are going to make agriculture more unsustainable and more unattractive. Because whatever the produce will come out with the aspects of food safety, quality, then the consumers will not buy the unsafe produce. So quality culture, food safety culture, investments in quality, having quality services in extension, advising, quality input, and following good agriculture practices, food grade packaging, food grade processing infrastructure. These are going to facilitate agriculture transformation in Africa. And this will bring made in Africa, consume Africa. We have a lot of varieties where we do not need even to import. You talked about the Ukraine, Russia, but there are cases that have recently come out, and I would like to bring it on board, where West Africa was importing majority of their rice from India, and India has stopped mega exports. But we have rice in Africa, and fellow Africans cannot consume it. How will we transform if we don't believe in what we produce? Yesterday, I was in a meeting and I got to know the two varieties of rice globally. One is Asian and the other is African. But the Americans have picked the African and are multiplying it more than the Africans. Can we, as Africa, start thinking African to transform our agriculture by applying what is good for Africa and is good for the global world? Let's not think about the 6 commodity prices that we sing, and they are wheat, maize, rice that are not based on the continent. Then lastly, can we think of sustainable agriculture approaches that make us sovereign? We have got natural things that we can use to sustain our health soil, but bringing in synthetic to fertilize our soils and kill it will not transform agriculture in Africa. So aspects of sovereignty, of agroecology, of majority of farmers, small scale in Africa are applying are going to be the transformational approach, farm gate prices, and engaging the consumers of the farm gate, of the farm produce in the discourse, and attracting youth back to agriculture by having reasonable, attractive prices for agriculture produce. Thank you for listening to me, and I apologize for taking long.
All right, thank you so much, Henrik. That's Great submission from your side. I would love to talk on the issue of the financing. It's truly a big challenge that everywhere across that is affecting. It's not only affecting the young people, it's not only affecting the agriculture sector, it's actually affecting all other sectors where banks feel they don't have a quick kind of return on investment. That is right. But now, how do we then bring these people on board? So this is what maybe we can explore. Let's show banks that actually agriculture is one sector that can bring the much needed profits that they get from all other sectors which they fund. Look at oil. It's one sector that the bank will look at and say, anytime I'll have my money back. But because of the uncertainties in the agriculture sector, banks are so scared to invest anywhere around agriculture. So they go slow on such a sector, but now it is upon us to show these banks that, well, you see, agriculture can actually help you grow your profits. And if you invest, then you will actually have a return on investment in the sector. Thank you so much, Mr. Henry. Any other person need a submission? Okay, so if there's no other person giving a submission, I would love to say thank you so much for joining the launch of this agriculture talk show, which will be a
May I
weekly
say
talk
something?
show. All right,
May I say
please.
something in reply to your response to my submission with regards to agriculture financing vis-a-vis, I would say, farmer self-financing vis-a-vis the financial institution of facilitatory financing. I grew up on a farm, and I grew up in a cooperative setup. My grandfather didn't need financing externally, or even when he needed, he would walk to a bank or a financial institution confidently and would borrow, because policy, legal frameworks were set up by governments then. We will appreciate in the developed world, they do have all their liberalized economy, and privatization plays a role. You'll all appreciate, like our host, if you have been following the farming trends and the food crises, if any tremble in price in France, in the US, and elsewhere, the farmers would petition their members of parliament, or the farmers would drive their agricultural machinery and agricultural produce onto humble demonstrations to show that we matter. I trust you have all followed the Indian cases that have been on even during COVID. That demonstration for wrong policies that do not favor agriculture or agricultural practitioners, in particular farmers, where they were protested against. Then I've participated in WTO negotiations and the crises that we are experiencing today, where we were told that some countries you don't need to produce because you're not cost effective. You can allow countries that are cost effective to produce, then they will supply, put your energies elsewhere, then you will go to the market and buy. I don't know colleagues who are on this forum who have heard of the Quotad, where the US, Australia, parts of European Union, even Mexico, they were saying that let's produce for the world, then they will purchase from us. But they were going for specific commodities that are not even part of our food chain. If you go back to the aspects of food security and nutrition, the elements of culture. So if we are in this discourse, we need not only to think of food availability, the aspects of affordability, and the crises we are in are talking about availability. You will appreciate nearly 1/3 of the global, nearly to 50% of the wheat, maize, fertilizer, plus for the global agriculture production to provide us enough food are from two countries that are bickering each other. So the current agri-food systems are not sustainable because they are not following the regional and they are not following the sovereignty of nations. So as Africa, we need to stop the talk and we go to action and we invest in the sector that employs majority of our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you yet again, Henrik, for that additional submission. I love the fact that you said, as Africa, we need to stop the thinking and now proceed to action. It's the best way we can actually build our food systems that are so sustainable and that are able to overcome the shocks that have hit us in the recent past. Food, as in prices of foodstuffs shot up, food supplies declined. We saw everything going in the opposite direction of humanity because of one simple thing, the Russian-Ukraine war. And that came at a time when Africa was, I would say, we were not prepared for something like that. So now going forward, these are discussions that we're going to be having. How best do we build food systems that can withstand all these kinds of shocks? Thank you so much, members, and thank you so much, Henrik, for all your submissions. We will be sharing the next time. We will be having the next space, and we will be having a guest for this. But our spaces is our weekly talk shows will be starting in the month of December. So as I had earlier said, if you have a story to tell, if you have something to tell that we can easily transform our food systems, please do send us an email on info@farmdigitaltv.com, or you can just send us a DM and we will get over to you. Thank you so much, and have a good night or a good afternoon from wherever you are. Bye.
Bye-bye. It was an honor to be part of the launch. It is great. Let's keep it going.
Indeed. Thank you so much.